This is Dissecting the Market. I'm James, and today we're talking about AST SpaceMobile and their merger with SPAC company New Providence Acquisitions. So I have another interesting SPAC stock for you today. Now, I've obviously mentioned in the past, I like to diversify my portfolio and have stuff in different sectors. And at the moment, I haven't really got anything in the 5G sector. So I've been looking into 5G companies and who builds the devices and that kind of stuff. And I've stumbled across this company, AST SpaceMobile, that I hadn't heard of before. They do have a 5G part of it, but really it's not to do with that. It's something completely different. I thought I'd give you guys some more information on AST SpaceMobile and the SPAC company that they're merging with, New Providence Acquisitions. So first off, let's get the exciting bit out of the way. Who is SpaceMobile and what do they do? SpaceMobile are the first and only space-based cellular and mobile network to be accessible by standard smartphones. Called SpaceMobile, this ultra-powerful network will provide connectivity at 4G and 5G speeds everywhere on the planet, on the land, at sea and in flight. For the first time ever, mobile subscribers will be able to automatically roam from land networks to a space network. Whether in the most remote locations, on rural farmlands or in the midst of a crisis or natural disaster, people will remain connected no matter what without having to invest in expensive, specialised hardware. So upon researching 5G companies, something occurred to me, and that's that, is 5G really going to affect much of our day-to-day life? Is it really going to make much of a difference right now? I know in the future, as things get faster, we need the network to be ready for it, and that seems like a good option for it. It seems like the option for it at the moment. But when you consider, if you've already got 4G internet, which is pretty fast on your phone, I mean, you can do everything most people would do, watching videos, downloading, etc. On your devices. I mean, you're talking 25-30 meg in most areas, which is pretty fast. I mean, it's broadband speed fast already, so moving it to 5G will benefit the guys that already, like us, that already get good 4G internet, but it's not going to have any effect on the people that don't get any internet. Nothing's going to change for them. If you don't know how 5G works, it's basically really, really fast, but doesn't travel very far. So the way it will work is there'll have to be transmitters in things like lampposts and street lights and cars and houses and things like that. So that's how that's going to work, as sort of a mesh network across. But again, it will only work in built up areas really. So it's going to benefit us on 4G, but not the rest of the world. And that's where AST SpaceMobile really comes in. Did you know that 51% of the world population don't even get any kind of connectivity? 51%, which is a huge potential market, untapped completely at the moment. And out of the 49% of the population that do get coverage, 5 billion of those are dropping in and out of signal. So they're generally in an area where the signal's pretty poor. So as an investor, there's 51% of the world population that don't have any kind of coverage. And not only is that good for us investors in this company, but it's going to help them substantially. I mean, there's so many people that could offer so many things to the world if they're on the internet. They're really missing out. Imagine not having any internet connection. There could be people that are very clever or could offer some sort of service online. It could bring people out of poverty. It really could change and transform the world. So how does this all actually work? ASD has over 750 patents and has basically designed a satellite that is somehow able to communicate directly with our existing mobile phones. So to understand this, let's look at how satellites usually work and who uses them. So ordinarily, satellite communication can be used for explorers or people in remote locations by a specialist mobile phone, and you would usually need to be in the line of sight of the satellite. These phones are expensive and the roaming costs are extremely high. The second and main way satellites are used are indirectly via complex and expensive satellite receivers, which again need to be on the roof of buildings or boats with a direct line of sight to the satellite. This is the route that companies such as SpaceX and Amazon are going with, and it will need lots of ground receivers to work. SpaceMobile, on the other hand, have managed to do something very different, and I couldn't quite believe my eyes when I was reading this. Their satellites are somehow able to connect directly to our normal mobile phones. It's compatible with all current frequencies and networks, and it even works indoors without a direct line of sight to the satellite, and they're the only company doing this. Not only that, but they are able to cover speeds of up to 5G. So what is this technology and does it actually work? Well, I'm not an engineer, so I can't speak competently on this, but to my understanding, SpaceMobile satellites are very, very large and are classed as low Earth orbital satellites, which basically means they are only 700 kilometers up from the Earth. This is actually quite low in terms of other satellites, and with their extra large size, you can almost think of them as a massive hovering cell tower. They have successfully launched their test satellite Blue Walker 1 in April of 2019 and began assembly of Blue Water 3 last year, with plans to launch it into orbit this year. From there, their plan is to launch 20 satellites in 2022, starting with the more rural areas such as Africa and India, and then moving on to the next phase, which will be 45 satellites covering North America, Europe and Asia, with the next phase covering the globe. The final phase would be 58 satellites and see an increase in speed with MIMO, or multiple in, multiple out global Wi-Fi coverage too. And as I say, all this without the need for any additional aerials or satellites. So the next thing I wanted to look at was who the management team and who are involved in this project. So gleaming through the team, to my eye, they look to be quite top rate. Between them, they've designed and launched over 40 satellites already, with Abel Avelin being the CEO and chairman. I'll put a link in the description below so you can take a look at them in more details, but they all look to have pretty impressive histories with proven track records. We then move on to the investors and customers of the company, and as you can see, this is definitely quite impressive. Companies like Vodafone, who are one of the largest network providers outside of China, Rakuten, who are the largest network in Japan, they even have American Tower and Samsung investing in them. You can also see they have many of the large brand networks as customers already. So how this will work is SpaceMobile look to team up with all our ordinary network providers and do a revenue share of 50-50. So basically a 50-50 split between SpaceMobile and the network provider. This means that SpaceMobile will be offered to 1.3 billion existing customers of these networks. So what's the catch and what are the downsides of an investment like this? Well, firstly, it's launching satellites into space. If something blows up or they have a failed mission, this could cause them issues down the line and throw off their costings. The first part of the plan to launch 20 satellites will cost some 510 million overall, and they'll need to do this before making an income. And given the company calculates it will have 541 million to play with when it goes public, money could quickly get tight if things go wrong and the plan is delayed. The next big issue seems to be the actual physical size of these satellite dishes. They're so big, in fact, that a couple of months ago, the US space agency NASA, having looked at SpaceMobile's plans, complained the extremely large satellites, when in orbit, will endanger an unacceptably high risk of catastrophic debris-producing collisions. So clearly NASA have their concerns. However, we have had an update from SpaceMobile since then to say that they are working closely with NASA to overcome these issues. My final concern is going back to costs. With their current business plan, SpaceMobile will not be producing any revenue until 2023. This is one of those businesses which needs to spend a lot of cash at first to launch all their satellites, with the returns not coming until much later. However, on the flip side of things, all they need to do is launch their satellites, and once they're there, they're literally money printing machines if all goes well. So that is definitely something you need to think about when you're investing in this company. They won't be making any revenue for the next 2 years. So the next question you probably got is, will I be investing in NPA? And the answer to that is yes. Looking over everything, there's certainly a lot to get excited about with this company. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know if this will actually work, this technology. So you have to bear that in mind. And I'm not a financial advisor either, so please do your own due diligence on this company. But I'll tell you why I'm investing. I think at the moment, not many investors know about this company. I think as we get more towards the merger date, the stock price will hopefully push up higher. It's something that I think investors could get quite excited about as more and more people find out about it. So there's 2 ways I'm looking to trade this stock, and I'm not sure which way I'm going to go yet. The first would be to buy the shares now and just hold on to them. 5 or 10 years, you know, a long-term investment, and hopefully along the way they actually do everything they say they'll do. If that's the case, I mean, Christ knows where this is. It would be more than 10 times in that in 5 years' time. It would be huge by then if this actually was true. The other way that I could look at trading this is just to buy now and sell just before the merger date. So we generally know with SPACs that they'll run up towards the merger date. This is still $12.70, so it's only 27% above its original $10 starting price, which for a SPAC isn't particularly high, especially someone that's doing something like this, you know. So I'll buy now, and I'm not sure whether I'll sell just before the merger or hold on to it for longer. What I'll keep doing is research on the company and try and find out more information, and I'll make that decision further down the line. So if you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any of my other videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.